Welcome and lie on your backs. And for today's lesson, we will be mostly on our backs. So remember, if you need to bend your knees up at any time, if you need to roll onto your side to give your back a break, or roll your head from side to side, please do so at any time. Remembering that the static of discomfort takes away from the opportunity for your nervous system to learn, to make new connections, to experience new sensations of health and well-being in your body. So lying there, just begin to connect to your sense of weight, your whole body. Are there places that feel light or heavy? If you think about your right arm and your left arm, is one of them lighter or heavier? More or less contact with the floor? If you were to imagine lifting your head, is the imagination create a sense of how heavy your head is going to be or how easily your head might float up? And what's the sense of the weight of each leg? Where is there lightness in you? What feels light and easy, floating? If you were to move something right now, what would you move with the least amount of effort? What would you move with the most amount of effort? And then just as a pre-test, just lift your head a little bit up and place it back down 1 or 2 times and feel if that's easy or difficult for you. You might even think of a few descriptive words that describe the sensations of lifting and lowering your head. And then with the right arm, once or twice, just a small amount, 1 inch or 2 is enough, off the floor, lifting and lowering. Feeling what part of the lifting is easy and light. Where does your body experience any strain or effort in the lifting of the right arm? Just a couple of times, and then pausing for a moment, giving the weight of your right arm fully back to the floor, and shifting your attention to the left arm. And again, just lifting that a couple of times, fully exploring with your attention what it's like to lift and lower your arm. Great. And then bringing your attention down to your legs. If lifting one leg with your knees straight is definitely going to be difficult, then please bend your knees. It's certainly much easier with your knees bent as the lever is much shorter. Otherwise, you can keep your legs long and just try lifting your right leg up a couple of times, feeling the whole process of lifting and lowering, how the body experiences the support, and then switching to the left leg. And just feeling the whole process. Is your attention all on your left leg? Can you feel how the rest of your body is supporting you? And then come to a full rest again. Then really feel your inhalations and your exhalations. Let your abdomen expand. If you're able to, let your breath fill as if it's filling in your lower abdomen below your belly button, so that your lower abdomen expands with the inhalation, your chest stays soft, and then it relaxes back down to neutral with the exhalation. This is often known as abdominal breathing, and yet so often people use what we call accessory muscles, the muscles up in your chest and neck and shoulders, to lift the ribs to help bring the air into the lungs. And that can create a lot of undue strain and effort in the breathing. And really just the act of letting the diaphragm drop from the lower ribs down, pressing gently so that the lower abdomen presses out. And then bring your attention again to your right arm. And as you breathe in, I want you to imagine breathing into the right arm as if in the inhalation, the right arm, you imagine it actually inflating a little bit. And as you breathe out, you imagine the right arm deflating back to its regular size. Not necessarily lifting the arm, letting it stay supported, but just imagining with the inhalation, the breath entering the arm. You might even let your fingers expand a little bit. If your arm really was a balloon that was inflating, you know how a balloon would kind of puff out a little bit, so you might let your fingers sort of puff out with the inhalation and relax again with the exhalation, imagining the air fully filling that right arm, that right side. And then bring your attention down to your right leg, so that in the same way you're imagining breathing into the whole of the right leg, filling in all the spaces between the cells and the blood and the nerves and the muscles and tendons, all the way down through your ankles, into your feet and your toes. The inhalation, imagine that little puffing out at the tips of the toes, and then the exhalation. And certainly if it's easier to bend your leg or to bend the opposite leg, do what you need to for your body to be comfortable. For some, a lesson like this could even be done in sitting for people who are really uncomfortable lying down. We can usually come up with all kinds of alternatives, because so much of what we're doing is training our attention to bringing into the fullness and the wellness and the wholeness of our body, and hopefully distract it once in a while from the constant repetitive thoughts and worries and planning and concerns and the future and the past. Our mind repeats the same stories to ourselves thousands of times a day. And when we drop back into our bodies, we're here to fully enjoy this moment right now. So now that you've brought the imagination of your breath into your right leg, bring it into both your right arm and your right leg. So staying on the right side, breathing in and imagining that breath filling every space between every cell in the arm, the elbow, the wrist, all the way to the fingertips. And simultaneously through the right lower belly into the right thigh, the knee, the calf and ankle, the arch of the foot, the ball of the foot, and each of the little piggies. And then begin to expand that, your awareness of breathing into the spaciousness of yourself. Begin to breathe into the right side of the room. So let that inhalation, imagine that you're breathing into your arm and your leg, and it's extending even more to the right, out to your right side, a little more each time. You can imagine maybe the next wall nearest you. Can you imagine breathing first into your skin and then expanding it out towards the wall? so that the simple aspect of your physical being is fully living in all of the space within you and to the whole right side of you. And as you practice this lesson several times, you can take it further and expand it all the way to the edge of the building or your home. Begin to extend your breath to the edge of your property line, into the city and the country. Good. And then just pause for a moment, not really intentionally taking the breath anywhere. If your knees are not bent, why don't you take a moment to bend your knees up and just rock them a little bit side to side, changing the pressure on the back of your pelvis. And rock your head a little bit left and right with your knees. And then if it's comfortable for you, pause in the middle and let your legs down long again. And breathing in, filling your lower belly with breath. Breathing out. And imagine as if you're breathing out through the top of your head. Breathing in through the top of your head, into your lower belly, below your belly button, as if there's a balloon that lives down there in your pelvic bowl, and it fills up forward and to the sides, back into the front of your sacrum, and even down. And notice after the attention that we've spent on the right side, as you breathe and fill your belly, is there more sensation, expansion, or openness on the right side than the left side? Maybe there will be, maybe there won't. It's interesting to notice and bring your attention to the two sides of your lower abdomen. And then now bring your attention to your left arm. And begin breathing in and filling your left arm with breath, imagining the breath going through your left shoulder, elbow, wrist, into the palm of your hands, into the very tips of your fingers, all 5. Breathing it back out, letting it come back up your arm, and like we did with the belly, letting it float back out the top of your head. Sometimes I like to think of the exhalation coming out the top of my head like a fountain of water, but it's a fountain of breath. Breathing it in through the top and out into the left arm, letting the fingers maybe puff out a little bit as if it's a balloon filling with air. Notice how much you can actually feel in your arm. Is it just an arm lying there getting filled with breath? Or can you imagine the outer layers of your skin and the breath swirling in through your upper arm and your biceps, around the elbow joint, through the forearm, the wrist, the hand? How much detail can you allow your mind to attend to in this imagination exercise? And then let that go and shift your attention down to your left leg. And breathing in through the top of your head, down to the left side of your trunk, your left hip and thigh, knee and calf, ankle, heel, foot, toes, filling with air, emptying with air, learning to have a sense, an appreciation, an actual feeling of your whole leg filling with air like a big long balloon. And then bringing your attention into both your left arm and your left leg simultaneously. Just breathing in and filling that whole left side. Letting the exhale take all the air back out through the top of your head. And then when you have a full sense of filling the left side to the edges of the skin, the arm and leg, the foot and hand, the fingers and toes, then begin extending that inhalation out past the boundary of your physical body into the room. Breathing into the left side of the room, back out through your being. Beginning to fill the left side of the room towards the wall. Just going as far as is relatively easy for your imagination to sense. As I said before, with practice you can imagine filling the whole left side of the room with air. You can imagine filling the whole left side of the building that you're in. You can imagine the inhalation extending beyond the building into the outdoors, into the town, the country, the whole spaciousness to the left of you. And then again, take a break from that, bend both your knees up. And just gently rock or wiggle in a way that shifts the pressure on your sacrum, the back of your head. Good. And notice as you're rocking, is your breath still full and fully paced, or have you started to tighten somewhere and restrict the breath? And if you can catch yourself in your own pattern of restricting the breath, linger with that. Linger with what it is that you do. Because truly, we can't change what we don't know. So if you're not willing to catch yourself in the act of being you, of doing the patterns of breath or movement restriction that you've spent years and years doing, it's much more difficult to change. We can find them and listen to them and appreciate them and then introduce these new ideas, these new possibilities. And then again, let your legs down long, your arms to your side. And bringing your attention to your right arm. This time as you breathe into your arm, let the breath with the inhalation lengthen your arm a little bit away from your body, and with the exhalation let your arm return to its original position. So you're just going to slide it down and out a little on the floor in whatever direction it's already in. So as if somebody was maybe just gently pulling on your arm or your wrist. With each inhalation, you breathe in, and the inhalation goes through your arm and almost gently pulls your arm a little bit down and away from your body. And the exhalation, let it sit, relax back to neutral. So there might be a little bit of movement in your shoulder blade, your neck. You might even feel some subtle movements in your ribs. And just keep growing that motion with the inhalation, letting your arm lengthen down and to the side. And as it gets to its full length, let it just begin to lift off the floor a little bit. And as you exhale, it settles back down and slides back to neutral. And just feel what else participates. Can you let your head go along with the movement? Maybe your head wants to roll a little bit to the right. And as you breathe in and out through the tips of your fingers, letting your arm lengthen and lift, what's supporting you? It's as if the air is floating your arm up, even just a little, but what's pressing down? What's allowing that arm to float up in the air with the simple breath? And notice if your mind has set an idea of how high that arm is supposed to lift. What does lifting mean? Is 1/4 of an inch enough? Does it have to be at least 4 inches so the teacher can see it? Can it be imperceptible to anybody but yourself? And play around with some of those. Breathing in, lengthening, and letting as much of the rest of your body follow as you can let go into your shoulder and shoulder blade, the front of your chest, the side of your ribs, your back and neck, head. For some of you, as you practice this, you may even begin to feel it down into your pelvis and leg. And don't worry if you don't. And then just relax your arm, let it rest for a minute. And just lift your right arm normally one time, like we did at the beginning. And then lift your left arm and see if there's any differences you can appreciate. Is one beginning to change? Get easier, lighter, more effortless. And let both your arms rest, and then begin again, shifting your attention to the left, breathing into the left arm. And with each breath, let a movement begin to grow in your left arm, as though each breath is filling that balloon a little more. And through the tips of your fingers, the balloon's getting a little longer, so your arm starts sliding down and back to neutral. And with the next inhalation, slides a little further, and you can feel its influence. Maybe in your shoulder. Maybe your head wants to turn to the left as you lengthen your left arm. Eventually, your left arm will slide and lengthen and just begin to lift away lightly, as though you're breathing helium into the arm, and it just begins to lift off, to float. Your whole body is organized to stay in contact with the ground, get support from the floor, so that your arm can become more and more effortless. Lighter and lighter. And then try alternating the arms, breathing in and out the right arm. Let your head roll a little to the right. Breathing out through the top of your head, and then breathing in and out the left arm, letting your head roll to the left, alternating side to side. And grow the movement so that as you lift your arm, you start to extend your attention into that side of the room, that space to the side of your arm. And then you shift to the other side, and not only does your arm lengthen and lift, but you send your attention out into the room to the side. Taking your attention gently left, letting your head and eyes roll left, and taking your attention to the right. Notice if your jaw is soft. You might gently place a soft tongue towards the roof of your mouth behind your front teeth, letting your teeth be slightly separated. And this time, breathe into the right arm, let it lengthen and lift, but roll your head a little bit to the left. And then switch, breathing into the left arm, lengthening and lifting, and rolling your head a little to the right. Great. And then just rest again. Bend your knees up if you need to. Shift your weight around a little bit. Notice if your jaw can stay soft. Good. And then legs down long. Breathing into the right leg this time. Breathing in through the top of the head, down through the belly on the right, the thigh, the calf, filling the tips of the toes. And then gently with each inhalation beginning to lengthen the leg as if it's one of those long clown balloons that gets longer and longer as the clown blows it up. Your leg just slides and lengthens with each inhalation and comes back to place with the exhalation. And think not so much about eventually lifting the leg, but just it going in the direction of getting lighter from the floor. So it's lengthening and just beginning to lift. But you don't have to actually get any space between your leg and your heel, your calf and the floor, your heel and the floor, sorry. But you're just lengthening and just starting to unweight it. Don't put the effort into lifting the whole leg, but feel through your whole self the support you receive from your pelvis and your back, your shoulder blades and your head, as your right leg fills with air and lengthens and just begins to take off. And then you can begin to extend your attention more downward this time as you send your breath down into your right leg. Keep sending it down below you on the right side, below the soles of your feet, and then drawing it back up and out through the top of your head. See if you can feel any movement in your pelvis or your low back. And then shift your attention to your left leg. First, just reacquainting yourself with filling it with air all the way through the leg with the inhalation and the exhalation out through the top of your head. And slowly growing that movement so you feel the left leg begin to lengthen and slide downwards a little bit. The whole leg gets filled with this imaginary air through all the space between all the cells in the leg, and it begins to push your leg down a little longer, and your attention of where the breath is going begins to expand downward and to the left until your attention can go down to the wall beneath your feet. outside of the wall, into the fresh air. And a few times do both legs. Breathing in, down through the abdomen, out through the base of both legs, really sending your attention through and out the bottom of your feet, downward, relative to your position it's downward, and back up. So you're filling that space downward. And then pause from that for a moment. Bend your knees. And this time we're going to do something a little different, as if all of the rest of this has been completely normal. This time, as you breathe in and fill your belly, and breathe out through the top of your head, with the exhalation, I want you to begin to sense the space above your head. You breathe in and down just to the belly and the pelvic floor, and out through the top of the head, but just like we expanded our attention to the right and to left and downward, this time expand your attention upward, above your head, relative to how you're lying. So not upward to the ceiling, but upward towards the wall. And then you could play with, if this is fun and easy for you, play with breathing in, filling your belly and your legs, and sending your attention below your feet, and breathing out, drawing your attention back through your center and out and up from the top of your head. Can you send your attention both ways, alternating with the inhalation, taking it downward, and the exhalation, taking it upward. Lovely. And what about the space above you, towards the ceiling? Can you imagine breathing in to the front of your trunk, the front of your thighs and your shin bones and the tops of your feet, your chest, your cheeks and your nose and your forehead, and extending your attention with the breath all the way up above you to the ceiling, through the ceiling to the sky, finding yourself solidly here, grounded in this moment and fully in the spaciousness. And after several breaths going up into the air above you and the sky, see if you can send your attention down into the floor, beneath the floorboards, into the earth. And notice, what's the sense? Is there a solid, firm, cool sense when you send your attention downward into the earth? Is there any difference in how you sense sending your attention upward towards the sun, into the sky? It may depend on what kind of weather we're having today, but during this particular recording it's beautifully warm. Let's see if that is available to you. It may not be. And just pause with sending your attention for a moment Bend your knees up. Roll your head a little left and right. Rock your knees a little left and right. See if your teeth are separated, if your jaw is soft, if your forehead relaxed. And then one last time with your legs down long, breathing into your right arm, lengthening, almost lifting it just a little with the inhalation, just once or twice. Breathing into the right leg, once or twice, filling it, lengthening it, beginning to take the weight off. Breathing into the left arm, letting the breath fill it, lengthen it, sliding it down the floor a little bit. And the left leg. A couple times breathing in and down through the soles of your feet to the wall. Breathing out and up with your attention going above your head. Sensing the space above you towards the ceiling and the sky. The space below you through the floor, down into the earth. And then just once or twice, lift and lower your head, comparing that to the beginning of the lesson. Lift and lower your right arm, your left arm, your right leg and your left leg, just noticing any differences, any changes in how you're experiencing yourself, your movement, your sensations. And are there any feelings? Are there senses of lightness, of ease, of enjoyment, frustration, pleasure, confusion? And just notice what's living in you now. Just linger there. You don't need to change it. It's not wrong if the emotion or the sensations that you're feeling seem to have a negative label. It just is. So just be with them. Be with yourself in this moment in this very special way. And then take your time to roll to your side. Come to sitting. You may need to sit for a while and just experience how you feel yourself in this room, where the walls are, what's beyond the walls. Take your time coming to standing and really feel what it's like to be in your body and in this space now. And do enjoy the rest of your day and week. Thank you.